Good morning, Kevin.
Good morning again, Salman.
And so now we are doing the Interstellar review with spoilers. So you
With
are being
spoilers.
warned. Okay, if you don't want to know about the movie and the details about the plot, well, go to the non-spoiler conversation about Interstellar.
Yeah.
So let's get to it.
Yeah.
In our previous conversation, we were talking about this larger point regarding Nolan's point in Interstellar about species versus kin aspect. And I think, like, as a parent, how do you distinguish between that and how do you go beyond that? So can you elaborate on that a little bit more?
Yeah, I really think that's one of the strong aspects of the film is it puts the main character, Matthew McConaughey, in this very difficult position of where is his sense of obligation to his family, and then where is his sense of obligation to us as a species. Should he stay on the planet and look after his kids as best as he can? But he knows this is it's a dying planet. That's kind of established earlier in the film. Or does he take this chance to travel through this wormhole and possibly save humanity? And I think it's a great thing for mainstream audiences to be faced with. I mean, that's a very heavy question. We rarely are posed with those kinds of personal and kind of moral challenges. And I do think to some extent, as Matthew McConaughey says in the film, humanity was born here. It was not meant to die here. There's no reason it has to die here. And it's that kind of thinking that really propels him and many of the other astronauts in the film forward in saying goodbye to their loved ones, knowing that they might not come back, but this is necessary. That's a heavy philosophical question right at the heart of the film. I think it's good.
And one of my favorite sequences in the film, or the segment in the film, was about on a planet with Matt Damon, and I thought Matt Damon was fantastic. And
can I just add as well, great casting choice.
Yes.
Because when you see Matt Damon, you're like, oh, Jason Bourne will save us.
Right, yeah. No, that was really good. And I also liked the landscape of the planet. It was beautiful, it was spectacular, it was barren. But at the same time, when they are fighting with each other, and Matt Damon's character is explicitly, his name was Man, by the way, it was explicitly about this question, and he was saying that you have to go beyond this issue of a kin bias, or you're worrying about your kids, or you have to think in terms of species. What is needed for species connection? I thought that was a good interaction, and I also thought it was great to see this shot that, okay, so it's a comment about human nature that even if you are way out through the wormhole to another part of to another galaxy, in fact, and then what do? Well, you end up fighting with each other. Okay,
yeah.
So
over a hunk of ice.
Over a hunk of ice, right?
Yeah.
But to me, that had strong. When I watched that scene, I thought that had a very strong emotive component for me. But then that message kind of went away to a certain degree, and everything turned out to be, well, okie dokie. Meaning to say that, I mean, apart from, yes, Michael Caine's character faked everything and things like that, but I was surprised at the lack of internationalism. And so Nolan is making this film in 2014. There is it's only NASA, there are only American flags out there. There are militaries have disappeared, which actually doesn't make any sense, because if you have food shortage to a certain, I know that the Earth population has shrunk within that, but if you have food shortage, militaries would disappear, really, and and so on and so forth. So, and then it's just there, and everything is just great. And then towards the end, he just magically appear at Saturn, and they have this base over there, and everything's, to me, that's what I was referring to, the fact that that I think you had mentioned before about the fact that he has a heady message, but it can be emotional where it has to be. But I think that's where the sappiness comes in, because I think he takes the edge off when you start thinking about something tough, and you go, it's actually not that tough. Well, it turns out to be okay, and I think he backs away from that. You see, so that, to me, that was this issue, especially the ending. I mean, I think it would have been great if he had been forever trapped in that black hole and never be able to do anything else about it. I mean, to do that, dude, how did he come back out and everything is fine? And he comes out also at a particular time. It doesn't make any sense. If you're in the black, well, that's an old science aspect. Like, once you're in the black hole, you should be able to see all of past, which he does, and all of future too.
Yeah.
And then how do you come out? And he couldn't figure out, why didn't he go to the future? I mean, it's just like so many questions associated with that. But he just comes out, and everything is okay. And he comes out as when he's 125, and all of his time dilation stuff was related to this one gravitational sort of like, planet, but rest of it, there is no time aspect and things like that. So anyway, I was frustrated by that. And again, because he's concerned more about the sappiness rather than going to where such a situation might take it. You know what I'm saying? I mean, like, that for example, I mean, that sense, I mean, within that world, I think it's not just environmentally unpretty, our world, but I think from human perspective also it's going to be not very pretty.
Right.
I don't see that element in there.
Well, I really liked his, kind of similar to The Road in the sense that we don't know exactly what has happened,
Right.
but things just aren't what they were. And, the population has dropped, and the landscape. I love this aspect that people are literally dying from consuming the earth. Like, these people are ingesting so much earth dust that it's killing them. I love that kind of symbolism there. I also liked how, like with the fight scene on the ice planet, it's clunky. This is not a superhero fight or anything like that. They're kind of like going around, like Nolan backs. I mean, he's directed, the Batman films. He knows how to direct a fight sequence,
right.
And he intentionally makes it like this is just pathetic.
Right.
We've traveled this far. There's these two astronauts. And now they're fighting, and it's I like that stylistic choice that the fight sequence is clunky. The last thing I want to say is, I think one of the messages in the film is that we do need each other because none of the Lazarus astronauts survive that we know of. All three. I mean, Matt Damon, ends up,
love conquers all.
He behaves badly. Hey, love and gravity, man. That's all you need.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, I was just glad they didn't pick that planet, which was Anne Hathaway. By the way, casting was great except for Anne Hathaway. I mean, I didn't think she did a great job. She wasn't a good fit. And the
fact kind of maternal cosmonaut. I mean, she's on this planet with all these test tube babies.
And then this whole thing about, like, when she wants to go to this planet where, like, somebody she was dating with and things like that. And, like, but it's just love. I don't know. I don't have an explanation. So I was glad they didn't make that decision. But on the other hand, that decision ends up being the right one, so on and so forth. So anyway, so that I just... but again, what about American flags? What's up with that?
I know it's not accidental. I mean, what is Nolan saying there in terms of that in the future it'll be only USA. The USA in other worlds, and also I thought that was interesting with, like, at the beginning there's an Indian drone,
which is
an errant drone, that he downs to use its power source for his tractors. I love that because on Earth it's very, like, all the technology is going into producing food. Like, there's no fancy gadgetry, nothing like that.
But that's the only internationalism mentioned.
That's the only bit, and I do agree that it's a bit problematic.
Right, and it's, I almost think it's weird. I mean, like, why would, I mean, especially when you're making this movie, and I'm pretty sure this movie itself is an international collaboration. I mean, it wouldn't be just made in the U.S. So in 2014, making a movie like that, I mean, it just boggles me.
They did put a black man in the as part of the crew.
Who didn't die for the first one?
Yeah,
die. And although I did like
him.
Right, I thought. Well, what was up with that when they came back from that high gravity planet? Like, he's kind of like in a bathrobe or something. It's like, I've been waiting for you for 24 years. Like the pipe, like yeah. So anyway.
Yes. Oh yeah, I was just reading, but so how are things on the planet? Speaking of I think Michael Caine must have bought like a vacation home somewhere near a black hole because he just does not seem to age.
Right.
He looks the same as he did in the Batman films.
Okay, we are close to the end, but I thought the homage, like, to me, a little bit reminded me of Silent Running. like, with the environmental message and with the robots. Robots grew on me. I mean, like, initially they were a little weird, but they grew on me.
Yeah.
But then Gravity, of course, like, in terms of visuals. But I also thought Ken Burns, sort of like the Dust Bowl. I mean, I think he's using.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, he's using that as a key reference point. What if that's all you have? It's not just one relatively localized effect in the 1920s and 30s, like, but 30s,
Right.
but yeah.
And it's geographically, very unspecified. It's very ambiguous. Like, where are they exactly?
Well, we know they're in America.
Well, they're in America because all the American flags, and then people are playing baseball.
Right.
They'll play baseball, on the moons of Saturn, I guess.
Right.
But I like that ambiguity. Another point I'll bring up: no animals. There's no animals in the entire film, and I'm not entirely sure what to make of that. But I think that was certainly purposeful.
That's a really good point. Yeah.
And they're not. We never see them eating meat or they're like eating vegetables, and it's like the animals are they're gone.
Huh. That's fascinating because they only have what is corn left. I think that's all there is.
Yeah.
Okay, well, that's fascinating, and I really liked one of the best things in terms of visually. I liked the spacecraft, the way its gravity was moving. That was very well done.
This is a joy to watch. It's a fun film to go see in the theater.
It has issues. It has some inconsistencies which we didn't get a chance to see, including the fundamental message of stay versus to go to NASA. And he gave NASA coordinates, but he also wanted him to stay in the future. So anyway, there are, if you really think about it, there are problems in the plot. There are holes in the plot, but it is a good thinking person's science fiction. So do go and see it on the big screen, see it on XD.
Yeah, and give us some comments. Let us know what you think.
And so we'll be back more regularly with this.
Yes. Hopefully I don't have to wear this contraption every time.
Okay. All right. Good to see you, Kevin.
All right. Good to see you.